Hello! Here with a review of an album that I am very excited to be able to talk about at last. Get Back by the Beatles. The Glyn Johns version of Let It Be, what later did become a Let It Be. But let's be honest, that name and that artwork is so much better than that. What genius in the Beatles or Apple decided it should be changed from that to that, I don't know. But they're an idiot, whoever it is. Anyway, Get Back. So for those of you who don't know, in January 1969, I'm assuming you're probably quite a big Beatles fan if you're watching this, because this isn't an official studio album. In January 1969, the Beatles went into Twickenham film studios, where they were filmed, rehearsing new songs for an intended concert. I believe what happened around January 10th, George had enough and quit the band. A few days later, they held a meeting where George agreed to come back if they left Twickenham and went to their own Apple Studios, which was in the basement of their offices at Savile Row, and ditched the idea of a proper concert. So the idea was they would rehearse a load of songs, then play them live, and what they played live would become their next album, which would have been this. I don't know the full backstory, but then the Beatles and George Martin buggered off to make Abbey Road, and Glyn Johns was left behind to go through all the sessions that had taken place throughout January and compile an album, which was what this was. I believe his first one was presented in May 1969. The Beatles rejected it. I believe the reason for it being rejected was they didn't like the fact that the songs didn't match what was going to be in the corresponding film that Michael Lindsay Hogg was putting together. Plus, some of the songs were incomplete. So Glyn was sent off to go and have another go. I've got a funny feeling the version that we have here is probably that first version, I think. But don't quote me on that. We've not had it officially confirmed what version it is. But if I was a betting man, I would say this is probably the first version. And then, you know, Glyn went off and did a few more versions. There was obviously one in 1970, which included Across the Universe and I'm in Mine. But that's not on here. Those two songs aren't on here. And then eventually the Beatles said, no, that's it. And Glyn was sort of sacked from the project. And John and George brought Phil Spector in behind Paul's back and told him to go off and do something. And then we get into Let It Be, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So this was intended to be those sessions came out as. This was supposed to be the artwork that was used, which of course is a recreation of this, Please Please Me, which is the Beatles' debut album. Now, obviously Abbey Road was recorded after these sessions, the Get Back sessions. But, depending on how the dates added up, it was possible, since it depends. If this version hadn't been rejected, I believe the plan was for it to come out in July 1969, this album, but obviously got rejected, so it was pushed back. So say one of the later mixes got released from Glyn, this would have been the Beatles' final album. And imagine that. Debut album, that. You have a full career that then ends with the album that has this cover. Full circle. Start of your career, end of your career. And then there's all the stuff in between. It's perfect. Why they didn't do it, I can't grasp it. Back covers are the same as well, more or less. They're not exactly the same, but yeah. And Tony Barrow does the sleeve notes on Please Please Me, and he was brought back to do them on Get Back. Obviously they didn't get used and at the time, so this is the first time they've been properly released. But yeah, anyway, Glyn Johns over the years has been quite critical of the Phil Spector version, along with Paul and George Martin, but you can understand it. He went through hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage putting this together, for it then to not come out and Phil Spector to come in and pretty much do everything that Glyn was told not to do, which was tamper with the tapes and edit them and add things to them. So yeah, anyway, we'll go into the track by track review of each version. This is going well, my hat is in the way. Go over there, hat, for now. This is going well, isn't it? There we go. Fuck it, I'll hold it. Right. We're very professional on this channel. So, the track listing is slightly different to what came on Let It Be. I'm in Mine and Across the Universe isn't included, but there is 2 additional songs included which aren't on Let It Be. Well, 3 maybe, I suppose you could say. Anyway, I'll go into each track individually. It opens with 1 After 909. So I believe this is the rooftop performance of it. I think. Don't quote me on that, but it sounds like it is. And yeah, it's a really nice version. It's raw, it's live, it's in your face. It's what it should be, this song, in my opinion. It's a good version. I really like this version of 1 After 909. And then after that, we've got a medley of I'm Ready, aka Rocker. I've always known this as Rocker personally, because I have a bootleg of this, which I don't remember if I said or not. But us Beatle fans, we've had this album on bootleg for years, but we've finally got an official version of it, and it's really exciting. Yay! Can you tell I'm really happy to have this? So yeah, on the bootlegs, this was always called Rocker, but it's using its proper name on here, which is I'm Ready. But it's very nice to put aka Rocker for us bootleg owners who've known it as that for years. So we've got a medley of I'm Ready, Save the Last Dance for Me, and Don't Let Me Down. I've always liked this medley. It's just, you know, it's just the messing about. You know, it's not a serious attempt at any of these songs, but, you know, they just sort of, you know, sporadically on the spot decide to do Save the Last Dance for Me. They're supposed to do Don't Let Me Down, but instead they do Save the Last Dance for Me, and then they break into Don't Let Me Down, just a little bit of it. But yeah, that's really good. I really like the way they flow in together, and it'd been good for them to attempt them properly, because I think these 2 songs do flow into each other right well, really well. And then after that, we do have the proper full version of Don't Let Me Down, which, you know, is the version that has been on the bootlegs for many, many years. The version where John says to Ringo, do a ching ching summit, and give me the courage to come screaming in. And in the middle bit, on the 3rd verse, when I think it's I Guess Nobody Ever Really Done Me, or the Ooh She Done Me, and then Goodgy 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 Goo, that version. Really good version. Yeah, I really like this version. It's very raw, it's very live. You can tell there's no trickery gone into it. This is just a live take. You can tell from the vocals of John's. After that, we've got Digapony. Yeah, again, it's good. I really like as well that it's got the All I Want Is You bit, which later on got left off on Let It Be Naked, Regular Let It Be, etc. This is left off, the All I Want Is You that Paul sings at the start. But it's on this version. And I can never understand why it was taken off, because it got performed on the roof with that at the start. So why it was left off the actual released version, I don't know. But it's on here. And I love at the start when John says we'll do Digapony straight into I've Got a Fever. I've Got a Feeling is the next track after that. And this is why I think this is the first version of the Get Back album, because this version of I've Got a Feeling is on Anthology 3. And yeah, it's the one that after that everybody had a hard year bit, so about 3/4 of the way through, it breaks down and they don't finish it off properly. As John says, he cocks it up trying to get loud. And yeah, obviously the Beatles, one of the reasons they rejected the first Get Back mix was because it had incomplete versions of songs. This is an incomplete version of I've Got a Feeling, which, to be fair, I do think they shouldn't have used this version. As much as I like this version, you've got to remember, we have got other versions of I've Got a Feeling which are complete versions. If this was the only version we had, it might be a bit sad that it broke down, but then we probably wouldn't know any different. Because it's not like they give up, it kind of does fade out properly. It's just they don't come back in for the I've Got a Feeling and Everybody Had a Hard Year when John and Paul are singing at the same time. But anyway, after that we've got Get Back, title track. This is more or less just a single version. There's nothing too different from the single version. In fact, I think it is the single version. And then we have side 2. I'll talk about something I want to talk about at the end, about the running order of this. But side 2 opens with For You Blue, which, you know, it's decent enough. It's just what it is. It's For You Blue. It's decent. After that, we've got Teddy Boy. So this is the first track on here that is different to the bootleg that I own. The bootleg I have, Teddy Boy, is about 5-6 minutes long. This is the same version of Teddy Boy, but it's been edited down. So I don't know if when Glyn Johns has remastered this, if he's decided that he'll cut this song down. I think he maybe has, personally. And it's not a bad thing. I think it's a nice length on here. And I like Teddy Boy. Obviously, it didn't go on to Let It Be. It ended up on Paul's debut album, McCartney. But yeah, I like Teddy Boy. This is, of course, it's also the version, I think, from Anthology 3 where John starts singing Take Your Partner and Do-Si-Do in the middle of it. Which, yeah, it's nice, and it flows right into Two of Us, which, surprisingly, the two songs flow quite well. Yeah, again, it's Two of Us, it's decent enough. Maggie Mae comes next. It's just the same as Let It Be album, except at the start of it, Paul says, we leave the little town of London, England. And then after that, we've got Dig It. This is the full version of, well, not the full version. On the bootleg I've got, which I should have got out, it's down there somewhere. This version of Dig It is actually the full version. This version isn't the full version. It's a fuller version than on Let It Be. It's about 3.5 minutes, but it's not the full version, because the full version is about 8 minutes, I think. But yeah, it's a good compromise, this, because the full version of it goes on far too long. The Let It Be version seems pointless, but this version kind of feels like it fits okay. Yeah, it's decent enough. And then after that, Let It Be. It is Let It Be. Sync to second clap, please, as Paul says. On the bootleg I've got, it jumps on this song. It jumps on the and When the Night is Cloudy, the last verse. So to finally have a version that doesn't jump, yay, is great. But yeah, it's just Let It Be. It's not too different from the Let It Be single version, to be honest. Yeah, it's decent enough. Long and Winding Road comes next. This is the version, the Phil Spector version, but it's without the orchestration, obviously. And there's also kind of a spoken word bit. You've got the Many Times I've Been Alone bit, the middle eight, the usual middle eight, but then you've got a second middle eight, which is that same one repeated, but it's kind of a spoken word bit by Paul, which I kind of like. It's good. I still think the best version of Long and Winding Road is the version on Let It Be Naked. But yeah, I like this version. It's better than the Phil Spector version. And then finally, we've got Get Back Reprise, which, if you've seen the end of the Let It Be film, you've got the rooftop concert end and then the credits come on. It's basically that song that plays there. That is Get Back Reprise. Yeah. Which is taken from Get Back Take 19, as we've found out, from this Let It Be anniversary box set. So yeah, that closes the album. Now, something I want to say here that I've noticed. Same thing with the regular Let It Be album. John is very light on songs on this album. He's got, in terms of new songs, he's got Digapony and Don't Let Me Down. They're the only two new songs that he's got on this album. And they're both right next to each other. Side 2 ain't got any John songs. They're all Paul, with the exception of For You Blue, which is George, Maggie Mae, which is traditional, and Dig It, which is credited to the four of them. So, I know John, I think John sings Dig It, but it's not his song that he wrote. The four of them wrote it together in the studio, I believe. So yeah, obviously, it's one of the, I didn't say that on my Let It Be box set review. One of my other gripes with that is the fact that John only has one song because Phil Spector decided to leave Don't Let Me Down off Let It Be. Digapony is the only new Lennon song on Let It Be because Across the Universe dates back to 1968 and One After 909 dates back to before Please Please Me. But anyway, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because that's just how it was at the time, wasn't it? John wasn't bringing many songs in. So yes, get back Jojo, get back to where you once belong. Yeah, I've always said for me these songs, the versions of these songs that I listen to is on Let It Be Naked. That might be about to change, and this version might be where I now go to listen to these songs. I might split it between Let It Be Naked and Get Back. You know, I can see why they didn't put it out at the time, but to God, you know, God, do I wish they had put this out like this. And even if they hadn't, I wish they kept this artwork with this name because, like I said, to start your career with this and end it with this, it's just how it should have been. And I know people say, oh well, you know, this didn't get released in America, so American fans wouldn't get this. Guess what? They're not an American band. And hey, these are available in America now, aren't they? So anyway, Get Back. Yeah, if you want this on vinyl, I'm afraid at the minute at least you have to buy the Super Deluxe Let It Be box set, which is £130, which is a lot if you just want this. But is it worth £130? Possibly not. It might eventually get its own standalone release. Obviously, the reason Apple have not given it a standalone release is because if they put it in the box set, it means people like me are going to buy the box set. But anyway, I've rambled on enough. That, you know, that is Get Back. If you haven't heard it, you can now hear it. It is the 1969 Glyn John mixes on the Let It Be Super Deluxe. So yeah, give that a listen if you've never heard it. I can't recommend it enough. It is, as far as I'm concerned, what should have been released at the time. It's better than what Phil Spector did. Anyway, that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.